this is going to be the water signs reading for the week of February 28th. Feels like a microaggression how short this month is. Can't believe that I have to pay rent again. How embarrassing to be merely mortal. Hi, Super Queen Bee. Thank you for coming. It's so good to see you. So, the deck that I will be using, I took it out of the box. It is called the Psycho Tarot. It's actually called the New Tarot. But the idea behind this deck, it was designed by these two people, William J. Hurley, and J.A. Horler in 1974. This is a reprint deck. And the idea behind the cards is that you're able to look at them in, or rather outside of the normal context of the tarot cards. And there's a lot more, or the way they were designed was for there to be a lot more room for interpretation, right? So here's, for example, like, this would probably be what, the Nine of Swords, but it could also be interpreted as the Nine of Pentacles, because you have like this pig on a spit back here. So if it's the Nine of Swords, then you're the pig on the spit. But if you're reading it as the Nine of Pentacles, these could also be like ears of corn. So I hope you enjoy playing this game with me, where I interpret these cards as though they were all kinds of different things. And of course, we're going to start out by clearing the space. So this is my Florida water that I got from 99 Ranch. I do have some Murray and Lanhams in the back also, but I like using this. It has a very licorice smell along with the florals, so it's a very pleasant sort of a thing to use. I really like that sound on the top of the lid. And I'm just gonna put a few spritzes in the air. Let it waft around, waft around. It's got a little bit of an alcohol aroma and a little bit of licorice. Almost like a hint of honeysuckle also. And oh yeah, I guess I can smell a little bit of menthol as well. I don't know why they lit my name up yellow. I feel like sometimes it's not lit up like that. Sometimes it's just grayed out. It just looks very aggressive today. So if it looks yellow to you, I apologize. I'll see if I can figure out a way to make it purple. Let's start out with the sign of, we're doing water signs today. because it's Monday, the day of the moon, and the energy of the moon is aligned with water. So we're going to be starting out with the sign of Cancer. We're going to do Scorpio also, and Pisces. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So Cancer, if you would, relax. And allow any issues that you'd like to resolve over the course of the reading or have insight into. Ooh. Nine of Cups just leapt right out of there. Just go ahead and let those things come to the forefront of your mind. If they're causing you any tension, you can just kind of breathe through it. And as you inhale, imagine the divine white light of Source filling your entire body from the crown of head down into the soles of your feet and into the ground below. And then as you exhale, just sigh out any of that tension and stress or physical discomfort. Oh my God, that's so scary. We'll work on that when we get there. Cliffhangers. You can just allow all of those negative things to return to Source and be transmuted. All right, so let me write down your timestamp and we will get started. Cancer, here in the past, I believe this is the Emperor card. He's got this big throne. He's got the emblem here, that holy hand grenade he's always holding on to. He does have a sword here, so he could also be aligned with swords, but we do have a lot. This is also the symbol for Earth. So we're tying in Earth energy and air energy. Hi, Fernanda. Thank you for coming. I'm glad you find it liberating. Oh, gosh. So the Emperor is somebody who's very much in control. This can be authority figures. It can also be you taking control in your life, and is often aligned with the sign of Aries. But with this deck, I'm probably not going to read as much the astrological signs because I want to leave it more open to your interpretation also. So this could be you taking control in your life, and at some point in the past where you got everything under control, you got everything kind of structured, you were able to delegate tasks. The Emperor also represents rule by divine right. So that you are able to delegate things to other people when that is the right thing to do. And because this card is in the reverse, it could be that that time has passed for you. And now we're moving on to bigger and better things. This could also be King of Swords energy. So there could be something about having to make decisions not based on this binary logic of right and wrong, but rather navigating moral gray areas. So that could have been something that was relevant to your past as well. So, as I mentioned, in the current situation, we have the Nine of Cups. And this is a card of wish fulfillment. You can see this gentleman down here serenading this beautiful lady up in the tower. It could be a town crier, and he's telling her that a handsome prince is coming to rescue her. Or he could be saying like, hey, cheese is half off at the market today. And if any of these things are possible. And if you look up here, we have the 9 goblets. We have room right up here for one more, right? So maybe that's what he's saying. He's saying like, hey, I was just at the antique store up the street, and I saw your goblet in the window. Do you want me to bring it to you? I can throw it up to you. And then it lands gently and graciously in her lap, just like your wish. So, crossing the significator, which 9 of Cups is an excellent card to get in that position. We have the 8 of Swords. And the 8 of Swords can represent you feeling trapped. You can see this person here has their arms behind their back. They're crossed as though they're bound, but we don't necessarily, they look like they could be bound, but those could also be, gauntlets or power bracelets or whatever they call them. So are you trapped because you are surrounded on all sides by these people with swords headed to an execution? Or do you just simply have your arms crossed behind your back? Is this some kind of initiation? Right? It could be an initiation as well. This is kind of like how they hold the swords up in different ceremonial, like oftentimes military ceremonies, a military wedding. Sometimes the couple walks under the crossed swords, right? So it could be that you might feel trapped in the current situation, but that actually things are coming in for you that are going to be very, very good, Cancer. Very good. Now we're going to go down to the Imam which is the cusp of the 3rd and 4th houses on the 12 houses wheel. I like to imagine that is laid out over my Celtic cross spread. It lines up very nicely. And sometimes I'll do an overlay of extra cards, but usually not for the weekly readings. If you want to see that spread, though, you can look at the deluxe guidance playlist, and that is a spread that you can order on my website. So this is going to be all of the origins and foundations for what's going to be happening in the future when we get up here to the midheaven. It's going to be kind of like up here somewhere. We have this gentleman or lady sitting on this throne. I suppose they could be a feminine person. Looks like they might have something like breasts here. This would probably be the Queen of Wands or the King of Wands. We do have this fire that is fire elemental energy up here on this tripod. And the King and Queen of Wands are both very charismatic people, very persuasive, very, able to convince people to do things because of their charm, and can have somewhat of volatile qualities when the card shows up reversed like this. Now, as fire sign energy, This could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This could be somebody in your life. This could also represent your energy in the situation, Cancer. But I get the feeling it might be more of an outside influence on you. Also, when this card shows up in the reverse, it can be that there could be some cattiness. There could be some gossip, some drama going on. So that's another possibility. We do have these lions with wings. Those are very festive. It almost looks like this throne could take off in flight. So tying in elements of mobility there as well. And perhaps that there could be influences on you, that there might be like a lot of drama around, and you feel like it's kind of limiting your mobility. But again, it could be part of some kind of initiation. From your perspective, it looks like the Ace of Swords. Now, the Ace of Swords doesn't really matter if it's reversed or if it's upright here. And I can't really tell which is which. And that's kind of how it is with the Ace of Swords. Because the Ace of Swords represents you making active changes in your life at this time. And it's a little difficult to fully parse out when you first make these changes as to whether or not they are, oh, hi countries of the world, happy Monday. Thank you for coming. When you first start making changes, it's a little difficult to know if you're going in the right direction. So it's typical for Ace of Swords, whether it comes out in the upright or the reverse. Just know that it's because you're making these changes in your life. And that usually it does work out for the best. This is also pure air elemental energy. So we have quite a few swords now. And we have some fire type energies. What about the outside perspective? Oh, yeah, I don't know how to do that. Let's see. Yeah, cool. There you go. I think I just made you a moderator. I trust you. So we have the Six of Pentacles. And this card is showing up in the reverse. And from an outside perspective, it shows the ebb and flow of resources. And it could be that from an outsider's perspective, oh yeah, of course. Thank you for coming to so many of my streams. I do really appreciate it. People might see that more of your resources are flowing out this time than flowing in. We see here, oh geez, this looks like a nun, possibly, in the threshold of a monastery or a cloister, or I don't remember exactly what they call the place where the nuns live. They wear habits. It's not a commune. The word is just temporarily escaping me, but I think you understand what I'm saying. So, taking in these two, probably orphans, their little tattered clothes here on the hems, that they need love and support. Oh, thank you, Super Queen Bee. I thought that might be it, but I couldn't remember. So she's, oh, convent. Convent. But cloister, I think, works also. She's taking in these two children, and we don't really know the circumstances of this convent. A lot of times, they do have enough money to take care of the children, but the children might also have to work. There's kind of a give and take. They might be raised in the church, and maybe one of them or both could end up becoming members of the order as well. So people might see that you're overextending yourself in some way. And you might feel like you're being manipulated into doing this also. So if this wands person or this situation is has charmed your pants off and charmed your wallet out of your pants, or is convincing you, oh, possibly. That was a big thing in the Middle Ages, I think. It was a good way for people to have a livelihood of some kind. They could be taking undue advantage of you. So here in the future, we have the Knight of Swords, and he is in the upright. This is a wonderful card to get here in this position in the future. And he's this kind of person who, or maybe I'll hold him like this, give him like a real drama pose. He definitely uses this binary discernment of this is right, this is wrong. We're going to cut them right in twain, get rid of this one, or get rid of that one, depending on which one is right and which one is wrong. And this flows very naturally with this Ace of Swords. Remember that was your perspective on this situation. So we do have a lot of this energy of air, energy of change. You could have a lot of air energies in your chart, but it is a very good time to be making change. So that might just be what's in the air at this time for you, Cancer. Up here in the hopes and fears, this card looks to be the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is about things returning to you from energies that you've put out in the past. And we're looking at this card in particular here, where these two guards are blocking the path of this person. Looks like some kind of doctor, or I think they would call them cunning men. Could be a woman, cunning man or cunning woman, the cunning folk. They were the doctors and the healers. And so all of the work that they've put into their craft, they're putting up their hand, and they probably have a Jedi mind trick or two up their sleeve. Masters of words, perhaps using a little bit of neuro-linguistic programming, which of course hadn't been named yet. Magic words that will cause these guards to allow them to pass. That could be what you're hoping for at this time, Cancer. And especially in regards to this Ace of Swords, that you're greatly hoping that you will be able to come up with the magic words, wave your wand, and create the destiny you desire. And I do think you're very close with this Nine of Cups here. There's some kind of wish fulfillment coming through. Now we have in the midheaven position up here, we have the Nine of Wands. And this card is about guarding what you have. So there's a certain amount of accomplishment here in this Nine of Wands. It's not an active defense that you're mounting, but especially we kind of see these symbols up here with the herbs. We have a skull over here. You could be cooking medicine in this cauldron. It could be very important medicine. It could be stew for the whole community. Something that would allow you to share your bounty with others. But it must be guarded at this time because it's not ready yet. It could be it's very important for you to keep this fire burning, and therefore very important for you to guard it. So that's another possibility. And that is going to be in opposition to what we saw down here in the Imam Silai with this nobility in the Suit of Wands. That you will get a lot better about guarding these energies. I'm so sorry about my computer hyperventilating. I think they will catch their breath shortly. Now, Cancer, your final outcome card, I am going to have to pull some clarifiers for that. And this is why I said it was so scary, because I guess there are a couple of blanks in this deck. And look, it won't even focus for me to show you that this card is a void. It is black. Is it the black of the soil? Is it black because it's darkness? Black soil is very rich and fertile. Is it just simply up for your own interpretation? Well, that's not why you come here, is it? So let's pull some clarifiers. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm done with your reading, I am going to put the clarifiers back in the deck. As opposed to how I leave most of the cards out. Hi, unknown. I'm doing tarot readings for the water signs. I'm about to wrap up the Cancer reading, and then we'll be doing Scorpio and Pisces. And I present them in ASMR format, so they'll be very relaxing. So Cancer, one of your clarifiers is you showing up in your reading as the very triumphant and victorious Chariot card. This is mobility. This is victory. And you can even see even little more hints of wish fulfillment in the stars on his cloak. So that's, we've got a horse here, a Pegasus. This is a Pegasus. Oh, thank you, unknown. I really appreciate that. And we have a eagle. So very mobile and very victorious. And again, we have the symbolism of, there we go, the sword. We have the Lover's card showing up reversed. And here it forms, instead of the triangle of water, it forms the triangle of fire. so action. This could be a decision already made, can also be about relationships falling apart. And then we also have this Ten of Swords coming out here in the reverse. And I think in the particular situation, things are as bad as they're ever going to get. And you might not get something like a very concrete closure, but you will get a gradual resolution of whatever is plaguing you at this time. And I think it will be much more like a victory than what we see with the Ten of Swords, which is much more like a devastating energy. But it's really up to you. So, Cancer, that is going to conclude your reading for the day. And now I'm going to shuffle the cards just a little bit. I'm going to flip these cards over because after I complete this general reading live stream, I'm going to go over to the members side of the channel and do some crystal scrying. So if that's something that interests you, you are cordially invited, but your presence is appreciated in whatever form it takes. And I will be using this labradorite. You can see a little bit of the flash there. All right, so we're going to move on now to the sign of Scorpio. And Scorpio, if you would, just kind of allow any of your thoughts, any of your questions that you have to float up into the forefront of your mind and have them to wait there while I deal out these cards. And if any of them are stressful or troubling to you, you can just breathe in and draw the divine white light of Source down through the crown of your head and throughout your body. And then as you exhale, sigh out any stress, any tension that you've been carrying, and allow it to return to Source for transmutation. So I've had my deck is being very active today, which means that I'm having more jumpers. So cards were kind of just leaping out of the deck, ready for your reading, Scorpio. Excuse me. Oh, unknown. I don't necessarily have favorite astrological signs. I do have Leo's my sun sign, Virgo's my rising. I do have a moon in Scorpio, so we'll be reading for that. And my north node is in Gemini. And I really like my north node in Gemini placement. What about you, unknown? What's your favorite sign? So for the past, Scorpio, we have this 2. 2s are about balance. And we have this alchemist here who is pouring between 2 flasks. One of them elevated. These are very large vessels. So in order to pour from one to the other, it requires a lot of skill, a lot of balance, and this particular ballast here. Ballast, ballast, ballast. So this could be the 2 of Cups. We do have liquid in these 2 vessels. It could also be the 2 of Pentacles, because that does speak a lot to balance as well. And this figure is alone on this card. So, Two of Cups is typically more about um, two people coming together in close emotional proximity. Could be in a relationship. Oh, I do like Aquarius also because it's the opposite sign to Leo. I find I get along with Aquarius pretty well. It can also be about alchemical marriage. So we could see that here, which is about balance. It's about union of different parts of the self as well. And then, of course, because they're round like this, we could call it Two of Pentacles. So this would have been a time in the past for you, Scorpio, moving into the present situation, because this card is upright, in which you were balancing things. You were perhaps combining different elements in different ways within the self, with others, in order to bring things into harmony. So now, coming into the current situation, Scorpio, you are showing up in your reading as the Death card in the place of the significator. I think a lot of us probably are in a state of transition right now, transformation. You can see this skeletal figure does look a bit scary, but we have the beautiful sunrise or sunset in the background, reminding us that the sun is constant. Every day we are blessed with its light, and that the path moves ever onward, even when we move on to the next plane. There are elements of eternity and immortality to the Death card as well. And we even have here that we can see the torso, we can see kind of one leg of the skeleton. Maybe the other leg is over here. It's kind of done in an abstract way, so you can interpret it as you wish, right? But it almost looks as though Death is pregnant. Now, what kinds of things does Death bear? Does Death bear pestilence? Does Death bear fruit, inheritance? Does Death bear possibility? Does Death bear the four horsemen? So there are so many possibilities, and that really is the key to the transformation. You could almost see that as echoing the shape of the sun in the background as well. Is this the moon? It's a little difficult to tell at this time, but I'm sure as the transformation reaches completion, everything will become much more clear. Crossing the Death card, we have another very prominent major arcana card, which is the Empress. So we can tell this is the Empress because she's standing in this field of grain. And it takes a long time to grow a whole field of grain. You have to plant the seeds, you have to water them, you have to weed the field, you might have to till the field to break up the soil to plant the seeds. If you're having a dry season, you have to find ways to irrigate your field. There's a lot of nurturing, cultivation, and there's not a guaranteed payout. So that's very much the energy that we have of the manifesting powers of the Empress. This can also be traditionally women's fields of work. It can be divine feminine energy. It can indicate pregnancy also, but that's not necessarily the case, because pregnancy can be symbolic of other things as well. Down here in the Imam Sili, so I like to pretend that I have a 12 houses wheel laid out on my Celtic cross. And down at the bottom, the cusp of the third and fourth houses, is the Imam Sili, and that is the origins and foundations upon which your destiny up here in the midheaven will be built. So, down in the Imam Sili, we have it could be the Judgment card, it could be the World card. The predominant energies from this, oh, I see, it is the Judgment card. We have the two little X's here indicating it is the Judgment card. It's called the Judgment card, but really what we're talking about is initiation from one state into another. So, Scorpio, in your reading today, we have a lot of these transitional energies showing up. Judgment can mean being judged by the people around you, being evaluated. So here we have this group of people. They're all facing inward. And it looks as though they're doing some kind of a grapevine circular dance all together to generate this harmonious energy. If they're able to get their vibration high enough, then they can elevate to the next plane. We've got children here. We've got men, women, old, young. And all are being carried along by the dance. All are contributing. And you don't get the sense, like, let's look at their faces, right? This guy looks like he might be a bit infirm. And this person next to him is supporting him. Maybe they're partners. You never know. But he's certainly not saying like, oh, you're holding us back. You're not doing a good enough job. We're going to fail and it's all your fault, right? So sometimes there are cases where criteria are necessary. You have to understand like the difference between right and wrong in your life. But there are these smaller criteria that sometimes come down to personal preference. It's okay to have those, but it's also important to understand where they limit you. We've got like some of these children are very short. They have a hard time making sure their feet touch the ground. But they're going to be elevating with the rest. Even though they're very young, even though they haven't really had a lot of experience yet, that doesn't mean that they aren't part of this overall experience. So there could be a lot of evaluation right now for you, Scorpio. Oh, this video is going to be quite long. Well, that's fine. I really like reading this deck. So then over here from your perspective, we have the Three of Pentacles, the Three of Rings, Three of Coins. And this supervisor is talking to these two builders. He says, well, you built this wrong. You built it in 4 dimensions, and I clearly asked you for a box that I could give to my daughter on the day of her wedding as her hope chest or whatever, put all of her dowry in. And this guy's very ashamed because he's the one who recommended this builder. And this builder is saying, you don't understand my vision. Your daughter should be grateful that a skilled craftsman of my caliber, who knows how to work in 4 dimensions rather than 3, has given up other contracts in my very busy schedule to build you this absolute treasure. So the Three of Pentacles is about professional reputation, and it's also about group projects. And this is showing up in the upright from your perspective. So I do think that you have a vision, Scorpio, very clear vision, and that you are able to present that vision to others in a way that they will either recognize how great it is or understand that it's not for them, you know. And I like the way that the card presents this because it is very open to interpretation. And especially those of you who are Scorpios who are involved in artistic endeavors. You know, sometimes even in very, even in very professional situations, there's room for creativity. But anytime you utilize your creativity, you open yourself up for personal types of criticism. You have to learn to not take it personally. Let's look here at the outsider's perspective. Oh boy, this card is a hot mess. We have the Five of Cups, and it's showing up in the reverse. So we can see these people are kind of engaged in a drunken fist fight, right? And three of them still hold their cups in the air. Two of these cups have spilled. The Five of Cups can be disappointment. It can have to do with conflict. In contrast to what we see from your perspective, this card is showing up reversed from outside perspectives, right? So they could understand that what you've done here is not necessarily what they were expecting, but probably aren't disappointed about it. They might still be evaluating these things, right? They might think, well, oh gosh, that's not quite what I was expecting, but actually this works just as well. So some elements of disappointment just because it's not what they were looking for, but it might even end up being that much better. Here in the future perspective, we have another three. So we have some good threes in your reading this week, Scorpio, that we have now the Three of Cups. And this is about camaraderie. It's about spending time with your friends. It looks like they're having a lot of fun, right? Very jovial time. And holding all of their cups up together that they might intermingle with each other. So that is a very emotionally close energy. It's not quite like the Two of Cups. So we have this card in the past that very well could have been the Two of Cups. And now we're opening that circle up even more to include more people, more emotional closeness with others. The hopes and fears. As I mentioned at the beginning of the reading when I was showing off this deck, this is the Nine of Swords card, but you could also feasibly see it as a Nine of Pentacles. Are you the pig on the spit? Or are you the lady who's about to eat the pig on the spit? Is this a basket of corn? Or is it a basket of swords or daggers? It's very difficult to keep daggers like that in a basket. And it does look like, you know, she's wearing a fair number of layers of clothing, but the swords have the potential to kind of poke through the basket, right? Where we have this card showing up reversed in your hopes and fears, if you are having sleepless nights, if you're not getting enough rest, if you are having anxiety, You might be hoping for an end to that. It could also be desire for a result. So, like, maybe you've put a project out there and you're kind of waiting to see how people respond. And not necessarily thinking that it's going to be bad or worrying about it too much, but always having the corner of your eye on that pig on the spit, that creative project that you've put out there, cooking meats on a rotisserie is very aromatic and it attracts people. It attracts people into you. And so perhaps you're hoping for a little bit of that energy as well. Now, Scorpio, we're going to come up to the midheaven position. So that's going to be the result of this evaluation, of this initiation process with the Judgment card. We have the potential for a brand new beginning. So this is the Fool card. You can see, again, are we about to see him portal through the stomach of the skeleton here? It could be. It could be. So we have this person about to walk into this unknown. And it's a pure white divine light entering the next phase of something. So unknown. I'm probably going to make a video this week for my Friday video that talks a lot more about my process in putting together this channel. I wanted to create liminal states with the ASMR so people are extra receptive, and then distribute information and different techniques for enlightenment and for magical development. So that's where the name of the channel comes from too. And then I also noticed that a lot of the tarot readers on YouTube have a tendency to yell. And I kind of like to listen to these readings as I'm falling asleep and things like that. So I wanted to put something out there that was a little more relaxing. Especially if you're, delivering messages about the future. It can be a little stressful, right? But thank you for asking. So the potential is there for this new beginning. And it's going to depend on the outcome of this. The Judgment card, as I mentioned, is 22. So the World card is 21. And then we start back over with the Fool's journey at 0. So it looks like you have a potential for a journey to turn over at this point. And you are in this state of transformation. So let's look at the final outcome card. We have the Sun card here, Scorpio. Now, it is showing up in the reverse, but having the Sun card anywhere in your reading is good. Upright, inverted, and especially because it's reversed in a future position, we're looking at a situation that has a lot of potential to turn out exactly like you've always wanted. So the Sun card is success. It is the bright light of the sun blessing everything you do. It could be almost like you're walking into the sun. That could be how profound this transformation is, Scorpio, for you. And that is going to conclude your reading for this week, Scorpio. So if you want, you can join me over on the members side of the channel for the crystal scrying You are cordially invited, but your presence is appreciated in whatever form it takes. So now we are going to read for the sign of Pisces. And I'm going to turn these cards over. And Pisces, if you'd like, just allow any ideas or thoughts that you would like to work on resolving. Allow those things to float up to the forefront of your thoughts and just wait there patiently until they potentially come up in the reading. Now, sometimes these things are a little stressful or can cause a little tension or anxiety. And if that happens, I want you to just take some gentle and healing breaths. With every inhale, imagine the divine white light of Source entering your body through the crown of your head, filtering all the way through your body, down through the soles of your feet and into the ground below. And then with every exhale, just sigh out any of that tension or stress, anything that no longer serves you. Allow those things to just float right back to Source and be transmuted. All right, I feel like I need to shuffle your cards quite a bit, Pisces. So okay, I think they're ready now. Yes, they're flying off like hotcakes. Oh, that's an interesting one. So because of the way that these cards are drawn, they're very open to interpretation. So I think I've gotten the Fool card in this reading, and then this card for Scorpio, I believe, is the Magician. So I'm not going to change my reading. Oh, hi, Eve. Thank you for coming. Oh, thank you. I do like Scotland. I haven't been there in a very long time. But it's the nature of this particular deck. I know last week I added an addendum to one of the readings because I was using a different deck. I like to leave it a little open to interpretation. So let's see how these come out. All right. So here in the past for you, Pisces, let me write down your timestamp just really quickly. Sorry about that. So here in the past for you, Pisces, we do have the 10 of Cups. And this card is showing up in the reverse. So because it's in the past and it's in the reverse, this could be a situation which has resolved itself, moving into the current state of affairs and the place of the significator. The 10 of Cups is emotional satiety. It can be making a family together with another person. It can just symbolize coming to a place in your life where emotionally, inside of yourself, you feel complete. And that then can rotate over into the next cycle with that renewal with the Ace of Cups. Here in the current situation, Pisces, we have the 7 of Cups. I really love how this card is illustrated too. We've got, all of the different options here. We've got dragons, we've got castles. Is this a woman or is it Medusa? Serpents. This one looks like it's kind of bricked over or, boarded over, rather. This card is showing up in the reverse for you in the place of the significator, Pisces. So you've completed the one cycle, and now we're trying to skip ahead to the Seven of Cups and get all these options back that we remember from the previous cycle, right? But we're not quite there yet, I think. We've got this card in the reverse, and then we have it crossed by the Hermit. And the Hermit, we always read the crossing card upright. The Hermit is separate from everyone else, and they're putting their enlightenment out into the world in the form of this beacon, right? The Hermit is not necessarily trying to create a false sun. He's not trying to say, look at me, I'm the new sun, I'm a star. The Hermit, though, is trying to put out that enlightenment there. If he shows up in the reverse, it could be something to do with a false prophet, and he could very well be saying, look at me, I came on a spaceship, or I am related to ancient deities, or any of those other things. But in your particular case, the Hermit card could represent isolating yourself from others, which a lot of us have been doing. So that's fair, Pisces. That's very fair. But that perhaps your beacon is not reaching the people who would be able to open up these options for you. We've come into a very difficult and interesting time with the internet where algorithms and AI are used to promote what is most popular, what gets the most engagement. But that isn't necessarily the best content. So if you do find at this time that you're feeling a little stagnated on social media or on the internet in general, that's kind of what I'm seeing here with these. That you are putting out your material, your art, your knowledge, but that the options are not opening up to you quite yet at this time. So down here in the Imam Selai, this is what we see down here. So I like to imagine that the 12 houses spread is laid out over my Celtic cross. And I look down here at the cusp of the third and fourth houses, and that tells the origins of situations. And it talks about the foundations of these things, that we will see the outcome of them up in the midheaven with the destiny. And the card that I have here, this would be the Fool card then in this deck. We have an atom, so representing this very, very minuscule thing. We've got our companion, our loyal companion, balancing here on the very tiniest object possible in the world. And this figure standing free. This could be a harlequin costume. It could even represent tribal dress. It's a fresh card, a new beginning. And starting from very small origins, kind of reminding us not to get too worked up about the progress that we make, because unlike the progression through the arc of the tarot, it seems linear because numbers-wise, it moves linearly from 1, or rather 0, up to 21, and then we go into the minor arcana. But if you look at the ebbs and flows of that journey, you realize that it's not linear. The cards, you shuffle them, they come out in a different order. So I wouldn't worry too much, Pisces, at this time about not feeling this progress, not seeing this progress. You are open at this time to a lot of new things. This could be an atom of gold, it could be an atom of platinum, it could be an atom of helium. It can combine with other things to make different compounds. So you're also not limited at this time, even though you might be feeling a bit like that. Here, from your perspective, we have the Seven of Swords, and it's in the upright. There could be deceptions going on around you. You could be also suffering from imposter syndrome. And just a brief description of that, if you aren't aware of what it is just the feeling that you are not qualified to be doing whatever it is that you're doing, even if you are more qualified than anyone else. And people have a tendency to struggle with that in the workplace, in certain fields, more than others, probably. But the basis for this card, we have somebody trying to scale this very steep incline. And they have all of these swords that they're trying to carry on their back, but they don't really have like a proper holster to carry all of these swords in. The implication is that they have absconded with these swords. They are stolen. Whatever the case may be, it's a very perilous journey. It's a very perilous situation. Well, I'm glad to hear that the reading is resonating, Fernanda, and I hope that your burden is lightened. So more than anything else, I think that it's possible you just feel like you're struggling to carry these things that you don't really have a proper container to carry. From the outside perspective, we have the Two of Cups. And this card, as you can see, we've got two people here enjoying each other's company. They look very happy together. They are equally yoked. Could be a femme-presenting person and a masc-presenting person. They have these cups that, even though they're not quite on the same plane, we could imagine they probably have about the same amount of liquid in each cup that they are sharing with one another, their emotional bounty. So if this is a relationship that you're coming to this reading for, from the other person's perspective, they probably think that everything is really great and don't really see any of the burdens that you're feeling like you have to carry. The Two of Cups can also be partnerships of other kinds. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a love card. It can be alchemical marriage, marrying different parts of the self together and uniting the self into that Ace of Cups. It can be about very close friendships. Could even be about a roommate if you're very close friends with that person. And it can also leak into business dealings if you're very emotionally invested in a business partnership as well. So next we have the Two of Wands. And I'll let you peek at it a little bit, but I'm trying not to show any of the lewder aspects of these cards too much. The Two of Wands is a card about your vision board, your planning. This card is reversed, and it's in the future. So it's a very interesting thing when we get this card in a future position related to planning and preparation and things like that, because the potential is still there in the current situation for that planning to take place. There may not be a clear path that needs to be taken as far as the planning is concerned. And so that could be why the card is showing up reversed at this time. Let's look up here in the hopes and fears. We have the two of justice. Sorry, we have the justice card. It's the scales. The figure of justice here. We have this sword talking about air sign energy. Justice can be Libra. It's about balance. And it can be about justice. So it's showing up in the reverse in your hopes and fears. You could be afraid that you will be judged very harshly. Oh, yeah, I'll make you a moderator if you like. I feel like giving out moderatorships today. So you could be afraid you might be judged harshly for whatever this is with the Seven of Swords, this very perilous situation. You could also be afraid that obviously this is a quite unbalanced situation between how this relationship is going and your internal turmoil. You could be afraid that you will not get justice in that situation. Up here in the midheaven. So now we're looking at the outcome of this. Oh, thank you, Eve. It's good to have you here. It's the Fool card. We kind of don't have a lot of direction. We know we're moving forward. We know we're starting from the very origin point. And up here in the midheaven, we have the Two of Swords. So this is a choice between two things. It could be a choice between two partners. It could be a choice between two paths. We have a lot of 2s and 7s in your reading today, Pisces, such that there's choices, there's things to be balanced. 7s are also a very unsustainable kind of energy. The Seven of Cups is very frenetic, very very chaotic from time to time. And the Seven of Swords, too, very perilous, between two worlds. So here, we see all of these ways that we're attempting to balance these things. Two of Wands with the planning, the Two of Swords making a choice, the Two of Cups, this relationship. Oh, yeah. I get those spots sometimes. And the final outcome we have the Knight of Wands. This is pure fire of fire energy. This person looks like they could be a desert dweller, running out. We don't see where they're going. We can only see the drive, the passion. Going so fast that even their motivations might be unknown to the self. This card is showing up reversed. So there could be a potential situation in the future where you're going to need to act very quickly in order to take advantage of it. You might already know what this choice is too, because that card is showing up in the upright. So I think, Pisces, you have a very exciting week or month ahead. I want to thank each and every one of you so much. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to my wonderful regulars and channel members for coming out today. It's always so good to see you. I'm going to go over now and do the crystal scrying on the members side of the channel. And it'll take just a few minutes for me to get that set up. And I look forward to seeing all of you again very,